Hello guys, welcome back to another video of Automation Testing Insider. So today I'm going to talk about what is test cases and or you can say what is test case design. So this video is all about test cases guys, where we'll discuss about what is test scenario, what is test case, how to write good test cases, and what is the format of test cases, what are the different sections in test case format, what are the different parameters, and so this video is very important for if you are a beginner in software testing or if you want to learn software testing. So guys, we have already spoken about software testing lifecycle, where we have discussed about requirement analysis, project planning, test design, test execution, defect reporting, and test closure. So these are the different stages in software testing lifecycle, where we have already discussed about the requirement analysis and project planning. So project planning we have discussed in the previous videos, where we talked about what is project plan, and later on we have discussed about test strategy and the difference between test plan and test strategy. Now today we'll focus on test case design guys, test design or test case design, where we'll discuss about what is test scenario, test cases, what is test cases, and how to write good test cases, and we'll discuss about the format of test cases. So let's get started. So what is test scenario? Let's talk about test scenario first, and then later we'll move towards test cases. So what is test case, test scenario or test case scenario? So let me take an example. We have this Facebook application where we have login page. So let's say this is login page where we have username field, password field, and we have sign in button or submit button, and we have sign up button as well. So this is for existing user who wants to sign in, put the username and password field and password, and click on sign in button. So user should able to log in into the application, this Facebook application. And for new user we have this sign up button for new for user registration, right? So what is the functionality here? So we have this login functionality, correct? So this is nothing but one scenario, one test scenario. So what is test scenario guys? So basically test scenario is any functionality that can be tested is called test scenario. So here this is login functionality which we need to test. So this is one scenario. Okay, another scenario could be this is sign up page, correct? So this is user registration is another scenario. So we have two scenarios over here. One is login functionality scenario and another one is user registration. Now if we talk about test cases, right? So test cases is nothing but set of actions executed to verify a particular feature or functionality is called test cases. Now we derive the test cases from test scenario. Here we have login functionality. So what are the possible test cases of login functionality? So let's talk about it. So first is valid user and invalid password. So this is one set of test cases, right? One set of test case of login functionality, like we'll enter valid user and invalid password. And for this test case we'll write the complete steps guys, like navigate to Facebook page, and user should be able to see the login page and enter valid user and invalid password. Okay, so user should not be able to log in for this case. So that is a test case, set of actions, right? Another test case could be invalid user and valid password. That is another test case. What is the third test cases, right? We have, let's say if we have already registered user, so valid user and valid user and valid password. So this is positive scenario. Okay, positive test case. So these two are negative one, and these two are negative one, and this is positive test cases, right? So we derive the test cases from test scenario. Now let's talk about the relationship between test scenario and test cases. Hope you understand guys what is test scenario. So any functionality that can be tested is called test scenario. Here we have login functionality and user registration. And test cases is nothing but the set of actions executed to verify any particular feature or functionality. Now let's talk about the relationship between test scenario and test cases. Okay, so we have already spoken about the requirement analysis. So BA provides business requirement document and software requirement specification, functional requirement specification. So these are the different requirement documents we have. So how to derive the test scenario? Okay, so we should have some documents, or if you have application knowledge, then we can derive the test scenario. So we may derive the test scenario from different documents as well, like BRD, SRS or FRS. So test scenario is derived from these documents, test scenario, and test cases will be derived from test scenarios, test cases. So let's say we are testing this Facebook application, and here we have 10 number of scenarios we have identified. For a particular feature we have identified 10 scenarios, and there could be 10 test cases or more number of test cases. So let's say each scenario has 5 test cases, so 50 test cases will write for this functionality for this number of test scenarios. So this is the relationship between test scenario and test cases, guys. So many people are getting confused, like what is test scenario and what is test cases. So this is how you can relate easily, and you can explain in interview as well if this question will be asked in interview. Now let's talk more about like what happens if we don't write the test cases. One question. Okay, so if we don't write the test cases, so what happens? So we are not able to test the 100% functionality of the application if we don't write the test cases. Why? Because we just randomly executing the application based on our experience, and we have not documented the test cases, so we may not achieve the 100% coverage, so we may miss some functionalities as well. Now another point is, if you don't write the test cases, so what happens is, let's say we are executing in multiple cycles. So in first cycle, let's say we have executed 80 test cases, next cycle we have executed 90 test cases, and third cycle we have executed 100 test cases. So we may miss the functionalities or some test cases if you don't document it, right? So this is the biggest drawback of not writing the test cases. Now the question arises here is, what are the importance of test cases, or why do we need to write the test cases? Okay, so what are the points, guys? So better coverage. So the first thing is better coverage. First point is better coverage of the application. So we'll derive the test scenarios from different documents, and we'll write the test cases, so we'll get the very good coverage of the application. And the second thing is, we can improve the quality of this application, so we do the better, we'll write better coverage of the application, and if we write good test cases, then we improve the quality of the application as well, because we will get good amount of defects and good defects. So definitely the quality of application will be improved. Another thing is, for tracking purpose, when we write the test cases, so we have proper tracking of the test scenario. We have traceability matrix, where we have tracking of everything, like what are the number of scenarios we have, and what are the number of test cases we have, what are the defects aligned to the failed test cases. So we have for tracking purpose, we need to write the test cases. So this is about test cases, guys. So let me just move on to the next slide, where we'll discuss more about the test cases, some theoretical stuff. So test case design refers to how to set up your test cases. It is important that your tests are designed well, or you could fail to identify bugs and defects in your software testing lifecycle. Okay, so test case design refers to how to set up your test cases. So it is the complete process of writing the test cases. It is responsibility of a tester to design the test cases. To design the test cases, tester should understand the requirement, identify the scenario, design the test case, review the test cases, and update the test cases based on review. So these are the important points while writing the test cases. And in a team, if we work in a team, so one person may think about it's testing is all about analytical skills, guys. So one person may derive 5 test cases, another person for the same functionality will derive 10 test cases. So this happens in testing. So it is collective team effort when we write the test cases. So we should understand the requirement properly, identify the scenario and design the test cases, review the test cases. So this is also very important for the coverage perspective. So maybe let's say we have written the test cases, and when we get it reviewed from our peer or from our test lead, so they may have some more number of scenarios where we need to write test cases, or we may change some of the test cases as well. So review is very important when we write the test cases. Let's move on to the next slide. How to create good test cases, right? So test cases need to be simple steps, transparent and easy to understand, and each and every test case should be traceable, and it should be linked to requirement ID in traceability matrix. So I'll discuss, already I have spoken a little bit about traceability matrix, so we will discuss more about, I'll create a separate video on traceability matrix as well going forward. Test cases should have only necessary and valid steps, brief and short. So it should be very brief and short as well, so that everyone can understand. Implement testing techniques like positive and negative test cases in your when you write test cases. Test cases should be written in such a way that it should be easy to maintain, and test cases should cover the usability aspect in terms of ease of use. So you need to write the test cases in a such a way that you are the end user, okay? You are the navigation and everything you need to consider while writing the test cases. So you should, the steps should be very much clear, guys. So like you are using the application like end user. Different set of test cases should be prepared for basic performance testing like multi-user operations and capacity testing as well. And test cases for security aspect should be covered, for example, user permission, session management and logging methods as well. So even we have separate tools for security testing or performance testing, but while doing the manual testing also we should consider these points as well, like performance and security aspects, okay, while writing the manual test cases. So what is the test case design format, right? So this is the test case design format, guys. It depends on companies to companies also. Some of the columns may not necessary over here, but this is the standard test cases design format. Probably I'll create a separate video also where I'll show you real-time test case design as well, some test cases as well. So this is the format where we the first one is we write the project name over here and module name. Let's say our project is Facebook and we'll testing the login functionality. So login module. Reference document, let's say we are referring BRD document, FRS, whatever documents we are referring, so we need to just mention over here who is the author of the test case. So we need to write the tester name over here, date of creation and date of review, who is reviewing the test case and date of review as well. Now test case ID. So how to write the test case ID? So let's say we are writing for login functionality, so test case underscore, we will write the project name. So this is FB underscore login functionality. So login, so it will be like this, guys, test case underscore project name underscore login. So it should be very much meaningful, and then we have number like 001. This is test case 1. So this should be the format of test case. Let's say user registration, so here test case TC underscore FB underscore user registration underscore 002, like this. So this is the format of test case ID and the scenario. So we'll write like login scenario here and test case. So what is the test case? So let's say valid user or invalid user, like that we will write over here. The summary of test case, what we are going to achieve as part of this test case, right? So we want to test like test the login functionality with valid user and invalid password, like that. And what is the precondition? So precondition is nothing but the requirement should meet, the application requirement should meet before we are executing the test case, right? So what are the precondition for this one? So the site is up and running, right? FB page is up and running, and user should be user should have username and password, okay? Or we can say like it is connected to Wi-Fi, like testing Wi-Fi. We may have different like Wi-Fi when we work in application, like for different application we have different Wi-Fi connectivity as well. So these are the precondition, like application should be connected, and we have proper Wi-Fi connectivity. And what about the priority? So priority is important, like how important our test case is. So we may assign some priority to our test case, and based on that, when we get the defect, we may assign the priority to we will assign the priority to our defects as well. So we'll give the priority. Test steps. Now here we'll write the test steps. So what are the steps of this login functionality to test the login functionality? Okay, so first one is navigate to FB page, and the second one is enter username and password, and third one is click on sign in button. So these are some of the steps of writing the test cases. Test data. So here we'll provide the username and password which we are using for this particular test case, and expected result. Expected result is nothing but what should be our expected result for this particular test case. So in this case we have invalid valid user and invalid password. So what should be the expected result? We should get invalid password error message. So that is expected result. And post condition, what happens after executing this test case? So we should get error message, right? What is the post condition? What happens after executing this test case? That is nothing but the post condition. Actual result is user should not able to log in. That is the actual result. And status fail in pass. So if these two are matches, expected and actual, so we'll write if they are matching, then it is pass. If they are not matching, then it will be failed, right? So this is the format of test case design, guys. So let's move on to the next, where we'll discuss just recap what we have discussed so far. So follow below steps to create test cases. So test case ID, it is unique number to represent each test cases. It's good practice to follow some naming convention for better understanding and discrimination purpose. Like this is the proper naming convention of writing any test case. Test scenario. A test scenario is defined as any functionality that can be tested, which we have discussed earlier. It is a collective set of test cases which helps the testing team to determine the positive and negative characteristics of the project. Test scenarios are derived from test documents such as BRS and SRS. What is test case? Test case is a set of actions executed to verify a particular feature or functionality of your application. Test cases are focused on what to test and how to test, and test case is mostly derived from test scenarios. What is precondition? The condition to be satisfied to test the requirement, right? So that is precondition. Conditions that need to meet before executing the test case. So that is precondition. Priority. The importance of the test case is called priority. It is parameter to decide the order in which defect should be fixed. Priority means how fast defect has to be fixed is called priority. So we'll prioritize our test cases as well, and whenever we get the defects, we'll prioritize our defects as well. We'll discuss about priority and severity of defects in defect lifecycle. So test step describe. Now let's talk about test steps. So test steps describe the execution steps. To execute test cases, you need to perform some actions. Each step is marked pass or fail based on comparison results between the expected and actual outcome. Test data. It is data created or selected to satisfy the execution preconditions and inputs to execute one or more test cases. We need to have proper test data to execute the test steps. Expected result, the output result as per requirement, as per SRS or FRS, the result which we expect once test cases were executed is called expected result. We have post conditions that need to be achieved when test cases was successfully executed. Actual result, the output result in the application once test cases was executed, and capture the result after the execution. Based on the result, the expected result, we set the status of the test cases. If they are same, expected and actual result, so that means the test case is passed. Status, the status as pass or fail based on expected result against the actual result. Okay guys, so if the actual and expected results are same, mention it as passed, which we have discussed, else make it as failed. And if test fails, it has to go through the bug life cycle to be fixed, which we'll discuss in coming videos. Other important fields of test case template, so we have project name, which we have seen in the test case format. We have module name, reference document, mention the path of the reference documents if you have any, like requirement document, test plan, test scenarios. Author, created by, the name of the test author, name of the tester who created the test cases. Date of creation, when the test cases were created. Date of review as well, when the test cases were reviewed. So these are some different other points which we need to mention as part of test case document. Maybe there will be a separate worksheet as well. Generally we used to make in Excel document, and there is a separate section called revision history, where we'll mention who is reviewed, what is the review date, and all those things as well. And reviewed by, name of the tester who created the test cases, who reviewed the test cases, there is a spelling mistake over here. Executed by, name of the tester who executed the test cases. And the date of execution, when the test cases was executed. Comments include value information which helps the team. If you have any comments about particular test case, the execution comments, or if you're while writing the test cases as well. And once we write the test cases guys, so it's very important to review the test cases. So after preparation of the test cases, review are conducted to ensure the completeness and correctness of the test case. So completeness is nothing but, let's say one team member written the test cases, and it is getting reviewed by the another team member. So he or she may have some more number of, may come up with more number of scenarios. So that is nothing but the completeness, whether it is the written by the first tester completed or not, right? So it will be checked in the review process checks the completeness of the test cases, and correctness, whether those steps are correct or not, that will be taken care based on this review process. So this is all about today guys. So if you have anything, if you have any questions, then please comment it, and please like this video, share it, and subscribe the channel if you are new to my channel. Then this is all about today guys. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.